I'm Emma. That's Josh. This is our 50-foot catamaran, and you're watching Sailing Uncut. Welcome to episode 3.
I always say the intro.
Okay.
Because I get to say the intro.
Oh my god. Okay, sorry. All right, off you go.
Welcome to the Sailing Uncut podcast, episode 3.
Yay, let's get just stuck into
Let's
it.
get stuck into it.
So, top story today is quite obvious.
We have new gear.
We now, hopefully, this episode will be crackle free.
It'll be definitely crackle free. It might be, the audio might be out of sync. There might be some little teething issues, but we have new microphones. We have new software that we're using, and we have a new cam link that records the video. So we should be good for podcasting.
So why did you just decide to get new everything?
Well, these mics are pretty cheap. You know, like they're not super expensive microphones. They look dope. They look awesome.
Yeah, they look pretty cool.
And I want a simple setup. So the boom arms were just annoying. They were creaky. They were just... So these is like we plonk the microphones down, we plug them in, and we press record.
Oh, is that how easy it was before?
In theory, that's what we do.
Right. So thank you so much for bearing with us. And if you have stuck it through to episode 3, then congratulations, because the last 2 were crackly, but we just accepted it. And now they're going to get better. They are.
And so we're filming this one during the day. So there's going to be lots of boatyard noise. So we don't know how that's going to go. Clouds are going to come and go. So the video might be a bit wonky, but it's all an experiment
Just
here.
classic boat life where you can just never predict anything. So let's see how we go with episode 3, and we can obviously adjust and adapt as we go along. So next topic is addressing the elephant in the room. Now, I wonder if anybody listening knows what this is.
We're not daily anymore.
We're going to do daily videos. It's going to be
Every
amazing.
single day.
And then that stopped. We got very far, though.
We did.
Well, how many episodes did we get in a row?
Have a look, because we didn't stop because we couldn't do it, if that makes sense. We stopped for a very specific reason, and
So
it's a
we
very
got-
weird reason.
We did 18 in a row. So high five for that. That was pretty
team.
good. So
Yeah.
we did 18, and then when we were ready to release 19, I had some problems with editing the video, and I wasn't 100% sure about it, and it was getting really late at night, and we
And
were
so
like...
I was just like, no, just leave it a day. No one's even going to know.
And I was
We'll
like,
just do
no,
it tomorrow.
it's going to break our streak. Like, we said we're going to do every single day, and then I ended up just being like, nah, let's just not do it.
And so we woke up in the morning, and YouTube, something happened with the algorithm, and it pushed that video out like crazy. Like, it was our best performing video by far.
The video that had been released
Yeah,
the day before.
the prior video. Because,
Yeah.
and so what we're thinking is that because we released it and we let it run and we let it do its thing, YouTube was like, oh, this must be a really good video of theirs. I'm going to push it out.
And what we're finding as well, like with that, obviously this is all like skeptical. That's someone walking next to our boat. This is all skeptical. Like, we don't know, but like
Hypothetical?
Skeptical?
Not skeptical.
That's wrong. Oh,
Hypothetical.
Can we cut that
No,
out? That's embarrassing. Hypothetical. Sorry, I got distracted by the person. This is all hypothetical. We're thinking that the algorithm. Now I've lost my train of thought.
Well, we think it's penalizing us for the daily content, even though we thought that it would help us. We thought daily content, people like that YouTube algorithm would push it out because it's like, wow, they new content every single day.
As well, the algorithm is still learning, what type of content we are, who likes to follow us, who would actually enjoy this content, because that's how we get our name out there on YouTube, is the algorithm. So we're just trying to play into its hand as much as possible.
But it was this revelation that we woke up in the morning and we're like, hang on, why is this video performing so well? Oh, it's because we haven't put another video in front of it.
We haven't yet just squashed that video with
Yeah.
another video, and but that's our theory.
That's our theory, and we're
And-
going to go with that because it's a lot less work for us.
And we also found as well, what we were really struggling with, and we spoke a little bit last podcast, is that we were finding that every day we were having to make content because we said we were making daily videos.
Yeah.
And some days we just literally had to sit and think, and a lot of the start of this journey is figuring things out, and we weren't getting good content out. So we're like, hey, let's stop being so hard on ourselves. I know we said daily, we're not quitting. Like, we're still going to be really pumping out videos as quickly as we can.
Still more than one a week.
Yeah, so but just
not videos for the sake of videos.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we don't actually have very much of a schedule at this point in time, but we're just obviously still recording everything.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to see how that fits, how we're going to do a release schedule, and come up
We're thinking every second day. Like, we still want to try and pump out content. We're still going to do these podcasts because we love doing these podcasts. We're still
not too sure if people like bite-sized videos or really long videos. So, for example, like us taking the mast down, which is the next lot of videos to come, we could have made that a 30-minute video, or we could make that 3 10-minute videos with breaking down each task that we did in preparation for the mast. So I'm
leaning towards the lots of little videos, bite-sized videos, because I think that there's plenty of other channels out there doing the one big video about how their mask comes down or whatever like that. But I still think we want people along for the journey and the ride, and that is as much content as like they're living every day with us, essentially, without living every single day with us.
So definitely comment below what you guys would prefer, the bite-sized ones or the longer ones, because we were also thinking as well, if we released bite-sized videos and then maybe like once a month, say a theme like the mask, we could then just edit a longer video for people who just want to watch the longer video.
And that will probably work really well with the algorithm as well, because YouTube will push that one video out rather than the in-between videos. And that's where people have second channels. They have like the vlog channel and the main channel. I don't want to do that.
Like, and then
that's
maybe
a lot of work.
like we would have a playlist, say for example, like the starboard bridge deck cabin. We have like all these bite-sized videos of how we got from absolute mess to the beautiful end product. But then we have one single video that then is showing that process, like kind of all the highlights of that process. So that would be like, a 20-30 minute video. So if you wanted to just watch that to see how we went from start to finish, or if you wanted to follow us along with the journey with the bite-sized ones.
We don't know, guys.
We don't know. So these are our conversations, really. We're just trying to figure it out, and we're new, so But
what we do know, sorry to interrupt, but what we do know is that YouTube seems to like us spacing the videos out a bit longer, because the next video we released after that one has also performed really well compared to our other videos.
And they give us like stats in relation to how well the video performs when you initially post it. And the reason why we're not too wrapped up in this stuff, but what we're wanting to do is push our channel out for people so then we can get a much bigger audience. So we're just really trying to fine tune things and really look at what the analytics are saying to us and be like, hey, okay, if we don't need to do daily,
because we are treating this like a business. This YouTube channel is a business, and it will make money, and it will be something we need to put a lot of time and effort and attention into. And if we can get it right from the start, I think that it's going to really help. And if we can get our schedule happening, because the more regular we are, the more YouTube will start pushing that out.
But what we do know for certain is that we're going to do daily Instagram content. So
yes.
Plug your Instagram, Josh.
Instagram's my job, which is why it's a little bit behind at the moment. So we're going to do daily posts, and then we're also going to do stories, and which will be live. So, we'll be filming stories on Instagram, and I think we already said that last podcast. We haven't started that yet.
I know, but you haven't been posting consistently on Instagram.
So we're going to start posting, because we're not doing the daily content, because that was taking up all our time. We're going to be posting daily Instagram. So if you do want daily content, go to our Instagram and follow it.
It is
at Sailing Uncut.
Yeah, so Sailing Uncut literally everywhere that you like, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, but our main one at the moment is going to be Instagram.
Yeah, we're going to push that because it's got stories, and it's got reels, and it's got just
all the
normal
things
posts.
That we need.
Yeah.
So definitely please go head over to Instagram and follow us, and then as well, if you could like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because it's free for you guys, but it helps us just astronomically try and get our channel out there to the world.
It lets YouTube know that people want this content.
Yeah.
And so even though you don't really, you just press the big red button down the bottom, it actually lets YouTube know, and it really helps it, which we noticed on that one video that did really well, is because people were liking and subscribing. That was the video we gained the most subscribers on, and it was the video that then other people would then watch that one and then go see other videos. So it all just works as a big snowball effect. So just like the video and subscribe.
Work as a team, that would be greatly appreciated.
Go team.
So moving right along, we are going to chat about our 3 flashback episodes. So the last 3 episodes that have been released on the channel have been us buying the boat, us doing the delivery, and then us downsizing our home and moving onto the boat full time. So I just wanted to give a quick outline of like dates and kind of what that looked like in a time frame. So we bought our, are you right if I just run through that?
Yeah, go for it.
So we bought our boat. we went and looked at our boat for the first time on the 22nd of April, and then we put a deposit down for it, and then we went back up to where we were living, and we had 4 weeks, but we did 3 weeks to get the money together, and then we paid the money, and then 3 weeks later on the 13th of May we went back down, picked up the boat, we now owned the boat, and then moved it to a different marina. And then once we did that delivery, which we did over 2 days, we then went back up to where we were living, which was 8 hours away. And then we had another 2 weeks to literally sell everything, break our lease from the house that we were renting, and then move down to the boat full time. So that whole process for us took just over a month.
That's crazy.
From seeing the ad.
I don't think the flashbacks show that.
No.
That sense of urgency and that.
So like from literally seeing the ad to living on the boat full time, just around 5 weeks.
That's insane.
So
and that was purely because we were impatient and we wanted everything now.
Mm-hmm.
We could have dragged that out over a year. Who
We
knows?
could have.
Like, I wouldn't have liked to because the boat was in not the greatest shape, but it could have.
So I guess I just wanted to spend the next a couple of minutes like actually just going a little bit more into detail about how it came about that we found this boat and went down and saw the boat. So do you want to like kind of take it away? Because you're the one that saw the ad and messaged it to me.
So we were looking online every day for about a year, just refreshing. You know, we had the same search on 4 or 5 different websites. We just press refresh. Oh, cool, there's a new boat. Look at that one. Oh, awesome. It's, you know, and we were looking, you know, these boats were in a far higher price bracket than we were ready for, but we were working towards it. We were saving, and we were like, yep, cool, refresh. We thought about going and seeing a couple, but we didn't because we're like, oh, they're probably too high a price anyway.
Oh, we inquired about one, and then they never got back
That's
to
right.
us.
They never got back to us.
So we're like,
which is
oh, okay,
whatever.
maybe this process isn't as easy as we thought, and then we just stopped inquiring.
And then I found this one popped up. I sent a link to Em on Telegram because we just spoke online most of the time.
Yeah. Even though we live together.
And I sent, what did I say? Let's go? Question
You
mark.
said, yeah.
Let's go? Question mark. And then you just laughed, ha ha ha.
I was like, oh no, like, sorry, I'm just getting my timer up.
And then I was like, oh, let's email the guy. So we emailed the broker. He like, did he call me back straight away?
Yeah, well, you emailed him and was like, hey, we're just interested in this boat. Like, can you just give us a little bit more? Because on the listing, it said that there had been a survey done. So Josh was like, oh, are you able to send the report through?
Yeah. And then he sent the report through, but then called straight away. And I was like, the first question I asked is, what's wrong with it? Like, why is this boat so cheap? And he was like, oh yeah, there's a bit of work that needs to be done. And the owner, you know, he just had a stroke, and he's like, he really just wants to kind of move on with his life, and was like, well, hang, but really, like, what's wrong? He's like, yeah, like there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And
but
so
for the size of the boat, we were like, we don't understand.
I had never seen anything that size for. I mean, it was 3 times the price was the average price of a cheap one in this size.
So we were like, okay, what interest do you have? Like, do you have many people interested? And he said there were about 25 people that had emailed or messaged or rang him in the space of a couple of hours since the listing had been up.
I got it right when it was listed, and we got lucky because the borders were actually closed because of COVID, and so we were the only people that there was one other guy that was on the Gold Coast that could go see it. But we said, well, and he said that other guy had booked in to see it the following day.
He said he had booked in to see it at 2:00. So we were like, all right, if we get there earlier, are we able to see it first? And he's like, well, yeah, if you can get here. So we got there at 1:00.
Yeah, so we literally got in the car middle of the night and drove through the night to get there in time. Because we were like, it was fun, it was exciting. And because we work for ourselves, we just took the day off. Like there was no reason we had to be where we were. So we got in the car. We drove through the night, got to the Gold Coast.
And we were trying to convince ourselves, like, the whole drive down, we were like, all right, we're just here to look at it.
Fun experience.
Fun
look
experience, you know, let's just see what comes of it. And then we get on the boat and we were just like...
I was just blown away by the size. Like, the first thing I thought was, this thing is not a yacht. Like, it's a freaking massive mega thing. Like,
actually, the grand scheme of
now
things,
it's starting
really
to feel really
isn't.
small. It's starting to feel really small now. But
and it's funny because, like, obviously we've been around boats our life, and we know how boat owners have this very particular connection to their boat.
Yeah.
So Josh had warned me. Josh is a good, like, way of just... How would you... Schmoozing people.
I know how to play a room. No, not play a room. Like, not play a person, but, like, I know how to... if you've read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, you know what I'm talking about. It's very easy.
So because we knew that the owner was going to be there as well. So we knew that the owner was this old guy who obviously reluctantly was selling his boat. Josh was like, all right, I'm going to feed into him. I'm going to, play into, and like he wanted to just show us everything about this boat, and we did. Like we
and the key
went
was
around
just listening. You just listen to everything he's got to say. Not agree with everything, but just really just listen.
And it was actually really good. Like, what he had to say was very, very valuable. So we were having a look, and then we were like, okay, like what's kind of the process from here if we were interested in it? And they said that we would need to make an offer because the guy who's going to look at it after us is probably going to make an offer as well. So we made an offer. And then we went away and like had coffee and kind of just freaked out. We're like, what are we actually doing?
Because we put an offer in. We weren't even going to put an offer in.
No, and we didn't get a survey. So the reason as to why we didn't get a survey is because a survey had recently been done on the boat.
And the survey said, your boat is screwed. You need to
do a lot of work to it.
And we're like, okay.
All right. And we're like, at the end of the day, if it was even more screwed than the survey said, then we would just have to come up with a different plan. But we're like, there's no point wasting more money to get told the exact same thing. So we went away, put an offer, and then the broker called us and was like, look, the guy who has just seen it has put a higher offer in, but because the owner liked you guys so much more.
Well, first he asked if we wanted to raise our offer, I think, and I was like, nah. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, and because at the end of the day, we were like, if we don't get it, like we weren't meant to get it. So we were like, no, we're going to keep the offer that we've done. And we offered a significant amount less, and then he was just like, okay, the person after you has offered more, but the owner wants to go with you guys, so if you are serious about it, then you need to come put a deposit down.
Come back and sign some paperwork and give us some money.
And we were like, okay. So the owner went with our offer, and then we were like, right, I guess we got to do this. So we put the deposit down, and in our eyes, at the end of the day, we didn't have the full amount that we had offered at that exact point in time. But we were like, we'll figure it out. She'll be right. Put the deposit down, and we're like, at the end of the day, worst case, we lose the deposit, and that's obviously a very, very expensive lesson. And we were so determined not to do that.
Yeah. Well, it was jumping in the deep end. It's like, well, okay, well, you put a deposit down, then you can quickly come up with that money. And
so we somehow put the deposit down. Well, we were able to put the deposit down. Like in our heads, we were like, what are we doing? And then the owner was like, oh, do you guys want to stay on the boat tonight and then go for a sail the next day?
Because you couldn't get a hotel room because of COVID. So because our plan was to get in the car, not come into contact with anybody except for the broker and the boat owner, look at the boat and then drive home. Like just zero contact and in and out. But then we kind of, that delayed the whole process got kind of extended because we were signing contracts and things like that. And so the owner was just like, we'll just stay on the boat.
So we stayed on the boat, did a test sail the next day, and just fell absolutely in love with it. And it was really cool. The night that we could stay on the boat, we were able to obviously look at it a lot more in detail, because there's a difference between looking at a boat when you've got the owner and the broker literally standing there staring at you, and when you're left by yourself.
And the broker was really good. He gave us plenty of options, like plenty of time to pull out. He said, like, okay, well, you don't have to, you'll get your, like, if you go do the sea trial and you're not happy with it, you'll get your deposit back. Like, it's no worries at all. If you sleep on it and there's something you see, like, fine, have your money back. Like,
yeah, we actually only signed half of the paperwork.
Yeah.
So even though we're saying we could have lost the deposit, the initial signing was then after the sea trial. And if we were like, no, it's not how we thought it was going to be or whatever, there were heaps of clauses that we could say, this is the reason why we don't want to continue with this.
So we had an out if we really wanted it. But to be fair, like, there was no way we were going to take that.
But when we were on the sea trial, like, it was so overwhelming. There was so much going on. Like, I was just standing there the whole time while we were sailing being like, what have we done? How are we going to buy this thing? What are we doing with our lives? Like, it wasn't part of the plan. Like, we weren't planning to buy a boat right then and there.
But in my head, I was like, how is a boat this cheap floating? Like, how can we sail a boat this cheap? I don't know. It was just, to me, it was like, this has to be done.
So at the end of the day,
sorry, now I know.
Yeah.
A boat can
Now we
float,
figured out.
doesn't mean it's good.
Yes, doesn't mean it's structurally sound. So we did all of that, and then we pretty much signed the rest of the paperwork, and then we had 4 weeks to come up with the money. So once we had finished that sea trial, we went back up to Yeppoon and came up with the money, obviously. And then that was that first video, and then the second video is us going back down and doing the delivery.
Well, what people didn't see in those videos is in between those two trips, I actually drove down myself and took a good friend of ours who has built a couple of cats and has been a builder his whole life. Because we've had a few people, basically we had 50-50 people in our life. Like some people would say, yep, that's an awesome idea, go for it. You know, you're going to have so much fun. It's going to be a big project, but go for it. And some people said, you're crazy, don't do it. And so that made us second guess ourselves.
And those people got in our heads extraordinary amounts.
So much in our heads, I literally just got in the car and said, Emma, I'm going back down to look at the boat again.
Yeah.
And so I took a friend who, you know, knows a lot more than I do, and we went back down to look at the boat again. So I just drove through the night, picked him up, went to the Gold Coast. Driving through the night is so much better, by the way, than driving through the daytime. Anyway, we went and looked at it. We pulled up all the floorboards. We pulled up a bit of carpet. Like, we really looked into this thing.
Because we had so many people tell us, you are making the biggest mistake of your life. Do not buy this boat. And suddenly we were like, oh, maybe we don't know what we're talking about. We still don't know what we're talking about, but we just got so worried that we were making the wrong decision. And, you know, at the end of the day, what we decided is that if the boat is too far gone, the amount of instruments and things that are on this boat, we would be able to part out and pretty much get our money back for
at
what
least
we paid
half
for
our
it.
money. Like, it just, to us, the risk was worth it. And after taking my friend back to look at the boat and him going, if you weren't going to buy this thing, I would buy this thing. That to me was like, okay, we're making the right decision.
So then we were like, all right, back on track. We're going to do this, because we were like, at the end of the day, we'll just pull out, we'll lose our deposit. No harm done. Obviously we didn't do that. So we transferred the money, and then we went back down and did the delivery for the 2 days. Yeah.
So we got my dad and his partner Elaine to help. That was just, there was no way we were going to do it by ourselves. I was like, stuff that. We have people in our life who can do it. So why not get them to come along?
And it's so funny, in the video, there was like this section at the Gold Coast where a year before we were sitting on these rocks, and we made a deal to ourselves. We were like, all right, you know, we're 100% serious about this. We want to buy a boat. And it's just so funny that where we had kind of discussed that and made the deal to each other is where our boat was. And yeah, we got it in our heads that by the end of 2020, no matter how much money we had, no matter what we could afford at that point in time, we were going to buy a boat. If it was going to be a tiny tinny, or if it was going to be a big beautiful catamaran, anywhere in between, depending on what our price, on what our money situation was at that point in time.
To do it whatever we could with the company to have that either automated or sell it or whatever. So we had the time and energy, and you know, we wrapped up 2020. All right, cool. Let's spend the time and look for this boat. It wasn't like we're going to go buy a boat. Cool, done.
So yeah, our time frame was definitely pushed up 6 months, because we got it around May, June. So it was a bit of chaos for us looking back at it now, because, you know, we were anticipating buying it at the end of 2020, not literally in the middle.
In the middle, yeah. Not even the middle, the start.
But I guess that's probably just a bit of advice to anyone out there that is looking for boats. It's like, you know, you got to somewhat be ready, because the market fluctuates so much. And if there's the right deal, the right price at the right time, it's like you just got to jump on it.
Well, we spoke to a couple.
Don't come around all the time.
And you can spend years looking for a boat. We spoke to a couple here, and they, was it 20 different boats they actually went on and looked at. Like, they looked at so many different boats.
And ever since we bought this boat, we kept looking every single day to see what other ones popped up, to see, like, you know, what if we got a good deal or not. And
in the year, there's been one boat that I thought, oh, we probably would have ended up with that boat if. Other than that, they were 3 or 4 times the price.
But doesn't mean we would have gotten that boat as well. Like,
no way we would have gotten that boat, because we wouldn't have had the money. We wouldn't have had, because it still was 3 times the price of this one. It was just, you know, it was that little bit smaller in the kind of size bracket that we wanted. It was just, it had everything. It was ready to go cruising. It still had work that needed to be done. We still would have gutted the interior.
So when a boat pops up, if you can, just jump on it, and obviously do checks. You know, I guess my question to you right now, I'm going to put you on the spot, is do you think that we bought this boat too preemptively? Like, do you think we should have looked around?
100% no, because we had the attitude that worst case, it's a very expensive lesson in patience. Because we always said, even going into it, we buy the boat for the dollar figure it is, and which we'll explain how much it was at one point in time during this channel. Like that, we're not ready to say that yet, but we will. You know, everyone will know how much this boat was. But it was that we both had in our heads that worst case scenario, we walk away.
Yeah.
We walk away, we scrap the boat, and we walk away.
Yeah.
And it was just a really expensive lesson in figuring your shit out before you go and buy a boat or whatever it is, jumping into something
so
preemptively.
You don't think we preempt, like you don't think
No, only because we had that in our minds. If we hadn't have had that in our minds and been very serious about walking away from it, if we had to, then I would have said absolutely. Because looking at the amount of work now, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work, and we underestimated massively the amount of work.
So what was your favorite thing that you did in the delivery?
Wow. Wait, I'm going to flip that on you, though. I want to ask
Okay.
you that same question. Do you think we preemptively bought the boat?
Oh, no, I was just going to ask you. I don't. Oh my God, it's so hard. Like it really depends on what my attitude is at the time, where it's like, oh my God, have we got way too much work? Or what my problem is that I don't know where to kind of gauge it. And I think the benefit is the last couple of days we've been meeting a whole heap of new couples and people who have boats and looking at their boats and hearing their stories. I just think at the end of the day, everyone's going to have issues. Everyone's going to have things that they need to overcome. So we are now just faced with this thing that we need to overcome. And no matter what we bought or no matter what we did, at the end of the day, we couldn't afford a brand new $1 million production boat. Like that just wasn't in the cards for us. So if we were going to live out our dream, we needed to do it a different way. So at the end of the day, I don't think that we made the wrong decision, because no matter what, we were going to have to deal with problems. So
I love that answer.
at the end of the day, this is the problem that we're dealing with, and we do get it in our heads sometimes that we have bitten off way more than we can chew. And then we chat to other cruisers and they're like, yeah, we feel that way daily as well.
Last night we had dinner and they said, you're going to feel that at least 3 times a week. And we're like, oh,
I'm
no.
like, okay. But like, you know, even though it was like, oh, damn it, it was also really comforting to know that everyone in this situation are experiencing those same emotions, even if it's got nothing to do with refitting a boat and it's got to do with sailing conditions or, you know, anchoring or all these other things. People are constantly feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, what are we doing? And that's why we choose this lifestyle, because it's not, it's always spontaneous and there are always new challenges that we're going to have to face on a daily basis. So that's my answer.
Nice.
So going back to the delivery, so we did that across 2 days, 1 night. We'd motored most of the way just so then we could, you know, get used to the boat and not put it under too much stress.
We purposely picked the day with the least wind. So on predicted wind, we just blue or purple or whatever the least amount of wind is. I was like, let's pick a day in the next 2 weeks that has the least amount of wind, because I don't want to be dealing with...
We didn't want to put it under stress because we knew that there were problem areas. So we were like, at the end of the day, we know that we're going to have to fix it up. So it
was a little bit rainy. Oh, it wasn't too rainy. Like we had a little bit of rain, but it was overcast and just dead calm, which was perfect.
I think my favorite, I'm going to answer the question first in relation to the delivery. I think looking back on it now, my favorite part is not realizing how much of a perfect anchorage we had for the night.
It was ridiculous.
Just dead calm. Like our boat was literally going in circles over our anchor chain just because there was no wind. It was just drifting. So, and now looking back on it, when we obviously had the issue with our anchor chain breaking a couple of months later, on that night that we were out, I don't think I realized at that point in time how perfect that night, night was.
It was magical. And also, I don't think we realized the benefits of having 2 people who know what they're doing on the boat to pass full responsibility off to, because we were like, that's not my, like, I don't even think I woke up one time when the anchor alarm went off. Oh no, I think
you jumped out of bed.
But like, yeah, it was...
I think it was my sense of safety in relation to like how I was feeling, because I knew at the end of the day I was the out of the 4 people, I knew the least. So if something went wrong, the responsibility wasn't on my shoulders.
We said to Em at the start, well, you and I decided, we said no matter what happens, you are a camera person. So if the boat starts sinking, your job is to film it. If you don't film it, you're failing. Yeah. We're failing by sinking the boat, but you're failing by not filming the sinking of the boat.
Because usually like you don't get the luxury, because we're going to just be us 2 on the boat. You know, when there's a problem, we both have to be hands on deck. Whereas at this point in time, because there was 3 pretty experienced people and me, I was like, okay, I'll just put a camera in everyone's faces and we can just document that. So
luckily nothing exciting happened.
But it was really smooth, and it's just
the motor was really smooth. Like both engines were running really well.
I just don't know how to explain the feeling of like just that the first push off from the dock and just taking this big vessel that a day ago wasn't ours, and then that day was ours.
Nah, it didn't feel like ours. The time it felt like ours is when you and I took it out by ourselves. Because when we were leaving with Dad, I've sailed with Dad on Dad's boat before, so have you, and so it's like it just felt like we were on a bigger version of Dad's boat.
But it was just this really weird feeling of like this thing we are now in control of and we can't just walk away from. Like I don't know. I don't know how to describe that feeling.
Responsibility?
Yeah. But responsibility at a next level as well. Like, because if you buy a house, the house isn't going to hurt anyone. It's not going to sink. Like, it might fall over. I don't know. But yeah, I think just that next level of responsibility of like, oh my gosh, we are now completely in charge of this thing. So the delivery was literally uneventful.
And we got a little sail in, which was all we wanted. All I wanted was a little bit of sail in sunny conditions, and we got that, which is awesome. So for 3 or 4 hours we sailed. Like, it was just magic.
It was
very good.
Magical. So we did that, and then we left the boat there, and then we went back up to where we were living. So like once we did the delivery, we just left it in the marina.
Like and the day after we just left
because we were like, okay, we can't be on this thing for much longer because we're not going to want to leave, and we were renting the house that we were in. So we went back up to Yeppoon, and we had 2 weeks where we needed, so we broke our lease, and we had 2 weeks to get rid of everything that we owned and like pack up the house and move back down to the boat.
So we chose to sell everything we personally owned because we thought, well, our aim was to get 50 to 80% of the value that we paid for it.
Yeah.
Which some things we even made money on. Like some things we bought from like Kmart and sold for more. Like,
yeah, because we took really nice food. That's a hint for people, is like take a really nice picture of something and suddenly it looks 10 times more expensive than what it was that you bought.
Clocks and bookshelves and stuff like that, where in Yeppoon where we were, it wasn't rural, but it was a small town. And so they didn't have access to things like Nick Scully and IKEA stuff was really good. We got pretty much the retail value of IKEA furniture, and we kept it in good condition. But anyway, so we chose to sell that because we wanted to start fresh on the boat, and we knew we had to completely downsize because we were in a 5-bedroom house.
Yeah, and it's like at the end of the day, we didn't need the big pieces of furniture. We didn't need all of our clothes that literally just sat in our wardrobe, never being worn.
Yeah.
And we didn't need a whole kitchen full of stuff because the boat had a whole kitchen full of things.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, everything we had, we didn't need. And it was interesting. All of the stuff that was kind of like, you couldn't really sell it, but you didn't obviously want to throw it out. We just put it in this big pile, took this massive photo of it, put it up on Facebook Marketplace and was like, okay, all of this is for free. Come and get it if you want. And people would just rock up, take handfuls of things and leave. And it was just really cool.
But they were really good about it. They were like, they would only take what they needed or what they really wanted. And then we had one lady who took a whole bunch of stuff that then she was going to sort through, pick what she wanted. And then, because she was going through a pretty hard time, which she told us about, and then she would give it to her friends who were also, gone doing it pretty tough. So it was awesome to just...
And then we had this one thing. We had the trailer full of stuff that we were going to take to the tip, right? And it was all stuff that we thought no one really wanted, like an old... It was like an old shed. It was ready for the
dump. We were going to take it to the dump.
Ready for the dump. And this person comes and they're like, oh, in that trailer, what are you doing all that? I'm like, oh, we're going to take it to the tip. And they're like, oh, no, we want all of that stuff. So they were just like
old
going through it all. And
there was like a surfboard, like just...
So that was a lesson to us that even if we thought it was junk and ready to literally be put, go to the tip, other people wanted it. So
we need to learn that lesson for the boat then. I'm sure there's lots of stuff that we've disposed of in this boat that people probably would have wanted.
Yeah.
So we need to get better at that.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it was just really cool that there was a lot of stuff that at the end of the day we were done with. We didn't expect money for, but we didn't expect people just to literally rock up and take all of it. So that worked out really, really well. And
it was fun. We're like under the pump. We're like, all right, we've got to get rid of all that stuff and we've got to move. Like it was good having that time pressure.
And it's funny, Josh and I always say that because we've lived in 3 different places together. We love moving. Like moving is one of our favorite things to do because it really makes us think of, okay, everything that we have, do we need it?
Yeah.
Like what value is it providing to us? And we don't really hold
Does it spark
anything.
joy?
No, but like we don't have stuff that is sentimental value to us because at the end of the day, we're just like, if it doesn't serve a purpose, we don't need it. Like, get
Which is
rid
like,
of it.
we are so suited for boat life. Like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't serve a purpose, it's gone.
And now on boat life, it has to serve two purposes.
Oh my gosh.
It can't even just serve one purpose.
We need another purpose for these microphones, quick.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a really cool thing for people to enjoy doing, because a lot of people that I know said that they hate moving, they hate
dread
going
it.
through all their stuff. It's like, no, really get into it, and it's just get rid of stuff that you don't need, because it is a really cool and freeing experience. So the last thing then, I guess, so that's those 3 videos, and we're pretty much done with the flashback episodes now because we're up to date.
And so the reason we did the flashbacks and we didn't put them at the start of the whole like journey, because we just wanted to start the channel. We just wanted to get stuck into it and start. We wanted to make like this. The original plan was to make this epic, like 20-minute long fancy video to like really explain everything. And we're like, nah, we'll just chuck them in as flashbacks later on and we'll just get started. So that's what we did, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, and then we've got a couple of other things that we did on the boat when we're in the marina that we haven't quite shown yet, but we'll just insert them along the way, and then after those ones are done, we're literally like real time, up to date, and just we'll keep going along. So we hope you guys really enjoyed those flashback episodes, because we loved making them, even for a bit of a selfish reason, just so Josh and I can go back and look at those
and
videos.
100%, all I wanted that for was a memory, because we filmed it because we knew we were going to do a channel eventually.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be able to look back at that footage and go, wow, those guys have no idea what's coming.
They're so innocent at that point in time.
Idiots.
So the last thing is, Josh, what have you learnt this week?
What have I learned this week? I've learned something very important and valuable.
I don't know what this is, by the way.
It is, we absolutely need to work smarter, not harder. And what we were doing with the channel was working harder, not smarter. And the 1 day break, and then letting that go into 2 day, and then 3 day, and then 4 day, and just seeing how that, we need to experiment more. We can't just lock ourselves into things and then expect that to work for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Because it's going to change. And so not posting that video the next day allowed us to go, oh, hang on, this is actually beneficial for us. And so now we're doing less work, but seeing more results. And so I want to translate that into boat projects. So how can we do less work, but more results in boat projects?
I love that.
So that's what I've learned. What have you learned this week?
Oh, no, we're just doing it every
just
week.
one?
Every week. I haven't prepared anything. I could say something, though.
What have you learned this week?
I've learnt this week that boat people are the friendliest, most lovely people.
Cleanest people?
Cleanest. Like, we had 6 people come over to our boat one night, and like, you know,
6
just
random strangers.
random people. We all got together and had some drinks, and then at the like everyone was having beers, and they all brought snacks.
We were quite pleasantly intoxicated.
And then when they all left, they all hopped up and walked off the boat. None of them
Not a single bit
left
of
a
rubbish.
scrap of rubbish.
No cans, no anything.
No,
I was
nothing.
like, I've never seen a party where everyone just leaves and
And all
takes all
their
their crap.
is taken. Like, we were like, oh, we could get used
our
to
crap
this.
was just everywhere.
But yeah, and everyone bought something. They all brought their own alcohol, and they just,
Which
I don't know,
I
it was just a
completely
real
understand.
Cool
It makes
community.
it makes so much sense that
Yeah.
why people have to do that, because when they're at anchorages, but we're just boatyard people are like that as well. So I was like, yeah, that's
we were
awesome.
pleasantly surprised. So we've been making lots of new friends, and we have just been loving every moment of that aspect, of the social aspect of it. So that is what is keeping us going at the moment.
Yay!
So thank you so much, guys, for listening to this week's episode, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.